Hello and welcome back to Let's Play Deadfire
Not a
with
problem,
me, Bring It
Captain.
Dawn. Let's continue through the Ingwithan way station. The Juana figure sacrifice seems to have supplied the pillar with energy, depicted in blue flame.
Will do.
The stone and glass of this contraption vibrates with some internal energy, setting the copper rings to buzzing.
Don't go near that thing, Ashiza. Hurts my head just looking at it.
Well, it's not blue.
On it.
Energy pulses through the twisted column like an irregular heartbeat, straining at the bounding walls.
I've got it.
The machine at the base of the pillar is in bad shape. The Audra panels are warped and the copper is corroded, but it looks whole. A high keening sound comes from the Audra. Examine the machine. Check the copper connections and knobs. Everything appears to be intact, but none of the essence in the pillar runs through it. The keening grows louder. Activate the machine. You turn the Audra wheel and adjust some of the sliders. At first, nothing happens. Then, you feel a fluctuation in the ether. The wailing grows louder. I feel like we would have learned our lesson from the first game, not to activate Ingwithan artifacts. At least without knowing what they do first. Essence moves within the Audra, opening a dimension as raw and distorted as a fresh wound. Something in that place pulls at your soul, and the distant voices cry out again.
On it.
The dimension within the Audra is open, tugging at your soul. Project your party into the pillar. Did I at least get consent first? A force within the Audra tugs your soul from your body and into a realm of pure essence. You become aware of a fragmented, dreamlike landscape. It is not a physical place, but rather a shape your mind has formed from the teeming energy. So is your presence in it.
I got an itch. Can someone scratch my elbow? I'll lift it with my body.
Glad we brought Abraham with us. Your actual body is still in Poko Kohara. You feel the cold tiles beneath it and smell the dusty air around it, but you cannot return to it. Something here has a hold on you. The voices you heard outside the pillar scream and wail somewhere close by. That's pretty gross. You reach the source of the tumult, a festering mass of corruption. Hundreds of souls cry out within, trapped and twisted by the accumulating decay.
That is not a good way to go.
That's one way of saying it. A handful of souls, still fresh and mostly whole, surface to confront you. One of them separates out from the others and stares you down with grim, hateful intensity.
You do not belong here.
The speaker takes the form of an older Juana man, his visage shifting as if reflected in rippling water. He is not a physical presence, but rather a soul-given shape. Who are you?
We are the dead.
His voice hits in your mind like a clapper to a bell.
Maybe you're dead. I do not see Tangaloa's mouth or Sirono's doors anywhere.
A second form takes shape near the first and glowers at him. Their essences sharpen and flicker at each other.
My storm wreathes Poko Kohara. Ngati's fist drags Valian ships to the deep. If you come to stop this, you have already failed.
His form gathers definition. Whether or not his words are true, he believes what he's saying. The Defiant made it to Poko Kohara without much fuss.
Akira, and your ancient soul will help the gust flourish into a gale. Ngati holds our souls in this swamp, cut off from the sea. The flow of essence stops here.
He gazes out at the shifting scenery beyond your floating platform of what only resembles stone.
And rots, apparently.
She wrinkles her nose at the putrefying mass and checks under her boots.
The cistern overflows into the world of the living, stirring the sea and skies with the fury of the goddess, bringing storms.
His lips curve into a slight smile. Blinking, Maya clears her throat and eases in closer to listen. I have questions about this place.
This is no place. Our souls tarry in the beyond, our bodies lie elsewhere. Curiosity, answers, none of it matters now.
Well, I'm still going to ask, how did you get here?
I followed the oldest path, through death and shadow.
Anaharu's soul extends toward you, into you. You feel yourself standing on a beach, the sand between your toes. Your toes are Anaharu's, webbed and striped yellow and brown, but they're hard to see in the midnight dark. Your voice is Anaharu's too. You're a Renga, yet you simper and grovel before the Valians. You disgrace us. The man standing before you towers over you, yet at your words, he shuffles his feet like a scolded child. You recognize him as Ruanu, the Renga in Tikawara.
If we always run, we will trickle to nothing, like a handful of water carried over the sand.
He holds out his cupped hands.
But if we treat with them, we can survive, become strong, like the Hawana in Nekataka.
Ruanu's face, at least the half you can see in the moonlight, is twisted with an expression you see him practice more and more these days. It is a fool's hope. You will destroy us. The shadows over Ruanu's face deepen.
Then what do you advise?
Kill the Valians. Take their supplies. Leave. Ruanu draws back from you, pulling his whole face into darkness. It does not matter. You can picture his childish outrage clearly enough.
They came to us in friendship.
To test us. The Rengas will send more men and ships to kill us.
Then you would give them reason.
Ruanu squares his broad shoulders and holds up a hand.
We will speak no more on this. I am Renga, and I say we help the Valians.
You knew he would not listen, but anger wells up in your chest all the same. You say the words before you can talk yourself out of them. I challenge you to a trial of waves. Even in the darkness, you see the whites of Ruanu's eyes.
Do not do this, Anaharu.
But it is already done, and you both know it. Meet me by the reef at dawn, unless you fear Ngati's wrath. Ruanu starts to speak, but the familiar markings on his face blur into splotches of red and orange. Your heart races, your legs burn. You're no longer standing on the beach with your old friend and Renga. You're in the water, watching clouds of your own blood swirl around razor-edged coral. The trial of waves is not yet over, but you have lost. You were sure Ngati would favor you for the sake of the tribe. Even as the swim wore on, even as your aging muscles cramped, you never doubted. Not till the currents opened your belly upon the coral. But Ngati's ways are knowable. Even your death may serve her purpose yet. If not, perhaps your daughter can succeed where you have failed. Continue. Something pale and pulpy, like a dried koiki fruit, drifts from the searing wound in your belly. A reef fish darts over to this ragged bit of flesh and circles it, nibbles it. You know it is just the fevered imaginings of a dying man. You can feel the fish inside you, writhing and biting. Still, you bring your hands to your stomach, just as your body convulses and salt water stings your throat. You emerge from Anaharu's vision choking and gasping, the taste of seawater and blood still bitter on your tongue.
I thought I would awaken a newborn Ranga, that the gods would give me a tribe to drive the foreigners from Deadfire. Instead, I count the foreigners that join me here.
This is no delight for me either.
Beza crosses her arms. I saw ancient murals. They showed Juana dying before this Adra vein.
Now, Juana and foreigner alike die and come together here.
Something prickles through the ether. It reminds you of a bitter laugh.
Ikira. Old stories tell that those who go to Poko Kohara do not return. Now, I understand them.
What do you know about the machinery connected to this Adra?
I do not know the hearts of those who came before our ancestors. If they built a trap for souls lost in Poko Kohara, their minds were as twisted as the Adra which brought us here.
The Adra I entered was twisted and deformed.
Then you saw flesh, dark with a bruise.
He nods slowly.
Here, you see the wound itself.
Back to my previous questions.
I have no time left to waste. This is our home now.
There's nothing divine about broken machinery around an Adra pillar.
The gods laugh at machines, I say. Nothing built of kith hands can wrest away their will.
In spite of his words, he regards the corruption over his shoulder with a frown. That's kind of ironic, considering the gods were built by kith hands.
No souls travel through here. The Adra screams. Ngati grins, showing her fangs. This is where Valian scheming ends. Ngati's servant holds the dam closed to flood the living world with her vengeance.
He places a hand over the spot his heart once occupied. A lot of options here. You think destroying this region will save Tikawara?
One village? No. I do this for the archipelago. I am the storm of my people. Adra is the staff I wave to churn Ngati's kingdom.
He opens his palms. The ether around you reacts at once, whipping up the ambient essence into a frenzy. Far away, you think you can hear furious winds growing in response.
Compensating, are we?
You will not laugh when I scatter your soul to the breeze.
Madiko, to arrive at the far side of death and find this babbling brook.
He presses her temples with both hands.
The Valians will not overrun us while I have the strength to repel them.
He furrows his brow towards Beza.
If you think bad weather will hold back my countrymen, you have greatly underestimated us.
They will depart when the waters rise to drown their investments. This I know.
These storms chase away fish and blight crops. You're the one killing Tikawara.
Fool! Ngati will stop churning the seas when the outsiders leave. Then I will be reborn as a Ranga. Pirates and slavers drove my tribe from our old roots and havens. Now, the Valians do the same with paper. They come to pull Adra from the earth and mill it like grain.
You speak as though this Adra has been the heart and soul of your tribe for generations, though you have only recently come here.
Adra is the heart and health of the Deadfire. You whose breast is cold and still would know nothing of this. There is nothing more to say. Here at the end, outsider lies are a dull edge.
He glowers at you, the ambient essence growing sharp and turbulent around him. You've all died. Maybe I can help you move on.
This is where all things stop. No one leaves, I say.
He balls his hands into fists, his shoulders nodding with tension.
Akasi, let's not be hasty. Some of us still have bodies out there.
Yours is not in great shape. She puts up a hand in protest and glances to the souls of her crew.
You don't plan on staying here, Ak? Why not let us tag along and see if we can reunite with what we left behind?
She spreads her palms open in a show of benevolence. It doesn't work that way. You're already gone.
You're not lying, are you?
She glances back toward her crew and winces.
You've all served your captain with distinction. But I think this is where we part ways.
She nods to each of them in turn.
Dismissed.
She salutes her crew, many of whom vanish on the spot, their souls joining the ambient ether. Mesa nods to you and departs soon after. Grimacing, Anaharu advances. So I'm still not 100% sure who I should side with. I'm leaning towards the Huana, of course, but not Anaharu specifically, because he is condemning his old village to starvation.
I bring your end.
Aye? Rather difficult to
Concentrate.
No good.
For the Republic!
That must hurt.
Right between the eyes.
Take him down.
That's not very helpful.
Damn it, got away.
Hey.
Guys, focus down the Huana spirit.
Yeah, that must hurt.
Fantastic.
Yeah?
You subdue the furious souls, ripping them into motes of their constituent essence. Beyond this cloud of essence, you feel the pull of the cycle, a force that steadily increases. This pillar remains steadfastly blocked from the natural flow. Power still hums through the essence. Sending it through the cycle would restore the Adra around you. Fragmenting it would detonate the delicate balance of power, destroying the pillar. Either way, steady tug of the beyond grows. You must decide quickly. So I know that destroying the Adra sides of the Huana, but I feel like there's a bunch of souls currently trapped here. Would it not be better to return them to the cycle? It's a tough call. Return the natural flow of essence to the Adra, restoring its luminosity. You push the essence through the widening channel to the beyond. They churn and spin away. Suddenly, the ether around you develops into a churning maelstrom. You pull yourself back toward your body, before the force rips your soul away.
Yeah, right away.
Yuck, I don't want to walk through this. Cling to the tether of your soul, racing to the safety of the material world even as the immaterial one warps around you. Essence floods the newly restored Adra, filling it with a light and heat that is both agonizing and rapturous. You return to your body, feeling as though you've just fallen into it from a mountaintop. Your companions gasp and groan beside you. You cover your face against the light radiating from the restored Adra.
Something I can do?
There's one or the other.
I got it.
Well, that's right, because I'm siding either with the Valians or the Rawatines. We'll have a little bit of time to mull it over at least, as we sail back to Neketaka. I'm probably going to side with the Valians. Mostly because Pallegina's in my party. So I have 3 things to turn in once we get to Neketaka. The quest we just did, the Veen bounty, and Maya's quest.
Wager I can reload faster than you can draw your sword.
Tundri, I have no interest in your childish games.
Ak, my little privateer. You have news for me?
Anya folds her arms and tips her head. I dealt with Veen.
Perfetto. A pirate deserves no better send-off than a watery tomb.
Ania passes you a hefty bag of coins.
But you did not just come to deliver good news. You came for work, Ak?
What bounties do you have available?
You've done well for the company.
My last target is Desiwa the Shark, a Rawatayan Kasita who we suspect of intimidating survey ships.
Her lip pulls back in a hate-filled sneer. I'll take the bounty.
Gelarde. Desiwa sails the Dao Blacktip in the waters south of Sayuka. Questions? Ask your questions, Aimiko.
I'm still hunting Desiwa the Shark.
Well, the Queen's Birth ship hunters are not exactly pounding at my
Right, we've seen all that
the
before.
lack of competition.
And they're not going to be here at night, so let's go... Well, we can just wait. We'll need to rest. I'll let him sleep until 10. So I assumed... the person in here I had to speak to, right? I've yet to actually find them. Maybe it's the person in here. Yeah, Alvari.
Ah, good, you're back. I hope you had a pleasant voyage.
Alvari looks up from her papers, giving you her full attention. I found the Adra vein.
Ah. Before you get too far on the way, I think you ought to come with me. Director Castol will want to hear from you in person.
Finally. The man who rises to greet you has a tidy, scholarly bearing, only emphasized by the thin frame lenses he pushes farther up his nose. He clasps both hands together, offering you a smile equal parts polite and relieved.
Alvari tells me you were kind enough to look into this business on Poko Kohara for us. I hope you bring good news.
The Adra pillar was corrupted, but I managed to restore it. It should be safe to harvest.
Incredible. You see? What fortune you had to find a watcher, Alvari. An Adra vein of that size will go a long way. We need only send a ship.
Assuming we can replace the people we lost. I notice Beza is not with you. Did you find any sign of the expedition?
They died in the ruins at Poko Kohara. The defenses were too much for them.
A sorry end for such dedicated individuals. How very fortunate that you lived to tell their tale. I believe I can take things from here, Alvari. Agrasima. The Watcher and I have more business to discuss. Oh, and do pay the man for his trouble first.
Alvari wordlessly hands you a coin purse. He bows stiffly, then turns to depart. Only 1,700 for that.
I thought it best I speak with you face to face. Watchers are not so numerous here in the Deadfire, especially those of such storied backgrounds as yourself. I'd read much about your exploits alongside the Crucible Knights in Defiance Bay. Their little experiments. And I think that we are, each of us, in a position to offer each other something that we cannot find elsewhere. The Valian Trading Company has had a presence on this island for nearly a century now. We have the greatest fleet on the seas, the support of the richest men and women in the world. What can the Royal Deadfire Company offer? A soldier's wages, so that you can elevate the fortunes of a distant king? And the Queen? A place in the Kahanga tribe among all the rest of these neglected people. You've lived outside the caste system all these years. Are you eager to return to it? I can give you money, fame, certainly. But the men and women of the company, we set our aims high. And if I only wanted to offer you work as an Adra inspector, I would have let Albari deal with you.
Isn't Adra what your company is after?
Yes, of course. But consider the luminous Adra is only valuable because of what it can offer those who consume it. The Valian Trading Company has maintained an outpost here in Nekataka for nearly a century now. It was only 2 years ago that we discovered the effects of luminous Adra with the aid of our animancers and several watchers. Flaune Alette has continued to study the potential of luminous Adra in all manner of advances. Why content ourselves to sell all this Adra as a luxury when we might use it to change the world? But of course you understand all of this. Alette sent word of your involvement in her latest experiment. A very dramatic first attempt, I hear. Though Alette has a tendency to gloss over details. But I want to hear it from you. How did it go?
It didn't work like we expected. My soul was transported, but not my body.
Separating Watchers from their souls is very much not what we want. A pity. Alette was having some luck with some of the volunteers. Short leaps, admittedly. A near-death experience does little to recommend Alette's efforts. I am glad you are in one piece, Watcher. We are in the early days of Alette's research. Flawed as this outing was, there is promise there. This is only the start, you know. The very dawn of a new age of discovery. But just imagine.
Castle spreads his hands. His eyes behind his spectacles are fever bright with enthusiasm.
Imagine if we could transport goods and people more quickly than any vessel or horse. Cure every kind of ailment. Perhaps cure disease altogether. We'll extend our lifespans by decades, maybe even centuries one day. This has all been the work of a single outpost. I want there to be a dozen outposts, 100. Animancers working together to better our lives. Look at what we have left behind. Old Valia is a battlefield at constant war with itself. But the republics have risen from that past. We can rise farther still. And in doing so, we will raise all of Aora with us.
Belfetto!
Vangina's outburst is restricted to a single word, but her gaze is riveted to the director. For a moment, you can see the blue flames of zeal flickering in the depths of her eyes. Should I say this? As Rawatai rose from the Deadfire.
Exactly! You see it plain. But I've said enough. Too much, I think. There will be more experiments to come. Until then, I have a more grounded task I need assistance with. Nothing that should put your spirit in any danger. Nekataka sees its share of smuggling. I doubt that would surprise anyone. But we've learned of a particular exchange that will have more dire effects than a few spoiled Hawana peasants. There is a Royal Deadfire Company official by the name of Quarno who has been meeting in secret with one of the Principi. I do not believe he works with the approval of his masters. He meets with a Captain Tola, a known pirate and smuggler. I hope I don't have to tell you that an alliance between a crooked royal official and the Principi is not the kind of trouble any of us need. I have a woman, Britza, waiting in the luminous bathhouse in Periki's Overlook. The smugglers do business there, and she has kept an eye on things. I promise to send assistance. Find her, and she will tell you what she knows.
Why not just tell the Royal Deadfire Company?
Telling you amounts to much the same, no? Someone has to put a stop to things.
Good thing that someone is us. Rauatine black powder is worth its weight in Adra out here.
I had some questions first.
Of course. Best to go in prepared.
Why help the Royal Deadfire Company?
The discipline of the royal officers isn't really what any of this is about. I'm more concerned about the pirates. In this particular case, the companies share an enemy.
Can you tell me more about Britza?
A fine Valian woman. Steady temperament. Good sense. The bathhouse sees an enormous number of patrons every day. It is a useful place to have a set of eyes and ears on hand.
Do you know anything else about these smugglers?
Only that Tola is a captain of middling repute and some small ambition. I expect she feels that a partnership with Quarna will give her an edge. Britza will know more.
I'll do it.
Excellent. Meeting you has been a stroke of luck, Watcher. I'll await your report.
Alright, I'm gonna call it here. Next time we will speak to Director Castile again. See if we can glean some more information from him. Try and steal from him. And then we'll go turn in Maya's quest. And I guess knock out the quest he just gave us. But for now, thanks for watching. And I hope to see you guys in the next one.